on today's show.
James Harden drops a career-high 51 as the MVP tug-of-war continues.
In Mailbox, will we ever see a shattered backboard again? And if so, who could bring it down?
And in the meme team, Steph Curry will have you falling over in laughter.
It's Thursday, April 2nd. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to The Starters. Whether you're joining us live online, you're listening to the podcast, or you're catching us on NBA TV, we're very, very happy to have you. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Mellis.
Thank you for joining us, folks.
To my right, Starters blog editor, Trey Kirby.
Hey, yo.
Finally, the international man of mystery taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friends.
Lele.
Lily, all right, fun show this evening. It's nice to be back in 2015. If you didn't catch yesterday's show, it was the April Fool's Day show. We took it back to April 1st, 1995. Had a blast doing this. If you missed it, it's up on our Facebook page. You see the link there. It's also up on the NBA's YouTube channel. A lot of you subscribe to that, so go check that out. That was a lot of fun.
I'd rather go back to that. Players played so much harder back then.
They did. It was a different game. You're right. But we are present day, and we had a crazy night in the association last night. 12 games on, a whole lot happened, some crazy numbers. But once again, we had a few lessons learned, and I think the first one, Tass, Russell Westbrook as the guy doesn't necessarily mean wins for the Thunder.
Yeah, I think he just tries to do too much at times, and that means shooting too much. And I think Russell Westbrook would agree with me. Sometimes he just shoots too much, and that doesn't benefit his team on either end. He can't be the scorer, the distributor, and the first line of defense, and his team come out victorious. And it shows in the stats. He has shot more than 30 times, 9 times this year, and his team is 2-7. And that bogus argument about, he has no choice, Kevin Durant is there. I don't buy that for 1 second.
Really?
Yeah, I don't buy that. His
What
team
other
should get
alternatives
involved.
are there to Russell Westbrook shooting 30 times?
Well,
those games that they're 2-7 in those nine games, they're giving up 108 of those 9 games, 110 on 6 of them. It's the defense that's the problem. If Russell Westbrook's going to shoot a lot, he shoots a lot. I don't mind it.
No, and part of not getting your teammates involved is that they don't get involved on the defensive end. That just means your guys aren't flowing on offense, so they don't get their energy going on the defensive end. I think that's the case. And you see in losses, he takes a lot more of his team's three-point attempts and their field goals. He's just used a lot more. And the defensive rating in losses, obviously, that doesn't necessarily correspond to shots, but it's a heck of a lot worse when Russ is shooting a lot. That's what happens. Who knows if that means that his offense is corresponding to the defensive end. But he wants to get his teammates more involved. That's why I say he agrees with me, because it's been a theme this season. He said it in February. I got to do a better job of leading. Honestly, I think I was actually shooting too much. I think I got to do a better job of trusting my teammates more. I'm not saying I don't, but consistently trusting them regardless of what's going on, regardless of the time, score, and possession. Just find a way to trust them and let them make some plays. I think you get your guys involved in the offensive end, it'll pay off on the defensive end. And to say, they scored over 130 points yesterday against the Dallas Mavericks. Well, the Dallas Mavericks allow 130 points to everybody. The last couple of weeks, they've allowed them to the Cavs, to the Clippers, to the Thunder twice. They're 2-7 when he shoots a lot. I think that
because they give up a ton of points.
Yeah.
They had he had 2 teammates last night that had 30 or more points. 3 teammates took at least 13 shots. The other guys were going. They just didn't stop anybody on the defensive end, and part of that is because Westbrook gives back a lot of points on the defensive end. He kind of gambles a bunch, but
and part of it is that he's exhausted on the offensive end, and he can't be the first line of defense as well because he's trying to do so much. Driving to the lane, he's a 29%
But
shooter
what is
from
the
three-point line.
alternative? What else are they going to do than have Westbrook kind of run the offense and take most of the shots? Who else is going to score for him?
Yeah, they got
The other 11 guys on the roster.
They put up 131, man.
Because Dallas's defense stinks.
Oklahoma City defense stinks as well, and that's not just Westbrook's problem, that's everyone's problem. Last night, the Dallas Mavericks just strolled in 72 points in the paint. That's where the problem is right now. It doesn't matter how good you are scoring on offense. If the other team just walks into the paint and scores, then there's really little
There's
you can
two
do.
But I'm
things.
telling you, Russ not working so hard on the offensive end will help him on the defense.
Right, I hear what you're saying.
And guys getting their legs in the offense, playing more on the offensive end, will just get them more motivated. You hear guys talk about it, NBA players talk about it all the time. If you get guys involved in the offensive end, they're going to do more on the defensive end.
It's a tough spot to ask Russell Westbrook, hey, do everything but don't do too much. I think that is a tough spot.
Well, that's basketball.
He's got to try and find that balance. Right, that's exactly right. But we said when Serge Ibaka went down, the Thunder's best chance is they're just going to have to try it and outscore teams. They're not going to stop anyone. Cantor, he had a great offensive game. He is a joke defensively.
Yeah.
He doesn't rotate. He's horrible in pick and roll situations. They have no one to protect the rim.
No.
And I mean, we knew that when Ibaka went out. So they just have to try, like the Rockets do at times with James Harden, or have at least at times. They're a great defense, numbers-wise.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just try and gun, just try and outscore you, just try and hit more threes than you.
I honestly think that Russell Westbrook wants to shoot less. I really do think that. And if you look at the other scorers throughout this league, the other MVP candidates, they have not shot as much as Russ has. Russ has shot 9 times.
That's a lot.
More.
That is a lot.
More than 30-plus shots. He's done that 9 times this season. No other MVP candidate has done that twice. Steph Curry hasn't done it at all, and Russell Westbrook is going to play the fewest amount of games of all these guys because he's injured. He does it a ton.
Yeah, well, one thing what he could do to help, though, is continue to drive inside, because he is a good finisher around the rim, and he's able to snake his way inside. And I think last night's game in particular, you saw his legs started to leave him at the end. Those shots were
Is
coming
that
up
any
short, front
surprise?
rim.
This guy
No,
has been
no.
single-handedly carrying his
That's-
team offensively.
Right.
His usage rate is through the roof for
Yeah.
the last, 2 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's going to have all these triple doubles because he's got the highest usage rate. There's going to be times when he shoots a ton. The other Thunder were definitely involved. They just have to step up defensively. If you're not getting the ball every time, it happens. And yeah, it'll definitely would help if they're involved offensively. But for the most part, they just got to figure out a way to get stops because Russell Westbrook has to do everything for that team, and he is doing it.
And so it's a big loss, too. I mean, they were the possibilities of chasing the Mavs there in the 7th, 8th seed. That was a big win for the Mavericks. And then, look, they hit some big shots down the stretch. Parsons was a big one, and so on. Let's keep it going, though. Another lesson learned. James Harden refuses to hand over the MVP award to Steph Curry. That is a lesson learned. We saw on Tuesday night Steph Curry had sort of one of his moments this year against the Clippers, a great game. He dropped Chris Paul. We'll show you that later in the meme team. But last night, Wednesday night, it was James Harden. He puts up career-high 51. He's, had a couple great games this season, more than a couple. But 51, 8 of 9 from 3. He got to the line 13 times, so a very efficient, only 25 shots to get to 51 points. It is bonkers. Did it in the first quarter, did it in the second quarter, continued there, of course, into the fourth, putting up 10 in a close game against the Kings. I remember when we were saying this is going to be such a great MVP race because one night it will be Curry taking the lead. The next night it will be Harden. And as much as we love Westbrook and Anthony Davis and LeBron, does it feel like a 2-man race at this point? And that's it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly does to me. And James Harden, you mentioned it then, like the night before you look at Steph Curry and what they did to the Clippers and you think this guy is the best player on the best team. But James Harden last night against the Sacramento Kings, who we know are not the greatest team right now, but he just willed his team over the line. And that's what an MVP does. Scored 59 points, 51 points, 8 for 9 from downtown. I mean, he's just doing everything for his team. His defense is picked up. And the Rockets, I was one of those people who wasn't a believer of the Rockets. As the season's getting on further and further, especially now with Dwight coming back, I'm starting to believe that this team could be a threat to at least make the Western Conference Finals. Not convinced yet, but the way James Harden playing, the level of his play, he just never gives up, never stops believing, and that's what's really, really important for the Rockets. They need him to be like that.
Yeah, will he continue to do it in the playoffs?
I hope so.
Is the question, will he continue to drive and continue to get in the lane and not settle for threes like he tended to do last year in the playoffs? Can he be a number 1 guy and win a playoff series? Because otherwise, this season is just a failure, really. I mean, even if he comes second in voting and he had an incredible year as an MVP candidate, this guy's never won a series as a number 1 playoff guy, and that's his goal. And he looks incredible, and he looks like he's in incredible shape, and I don't think that he's going to settle for threes and sort of just hang out on the perimeter. Whoever they play this postseason, it's going to be incredible to watch. And he's got such a great supporting cast, as you sort of mentioned, Lee, with Dwight coming back. This team just fits him so well. Hey, man, you go score. Let the other guys sort of do the dirty work. And as long as Jason Terry can hit some threes, because, Patrick Beverley is out, Jason Terry can stay on the floor. As long as he's hitting threes.
Right.
And it's because he has to carry the ball a little bit because James Harden can't do absolutely everything. He can't be the point guard, the scorer, and everything.
Again, it's going to be an unreal MVP race, and 2 or 3 guys are going to be left going, what more can I do and not win this award? It's just the type of race it is. All right, final one here. Final lesson learned, I guess. Everybody, and I mean everybody, seems to hate the Clippers. We've seen them get into it with the Warriors earlier this year. Last night, it was the Blazers, and it really started because Chris Paul, look, let's tell it as it is, goes low, beneath the belt on Kaman.
It was a Hibbert honk.
It was the Hibbert honk, as some people are calling it. And then Kaman
a lot of people,
retaliated by pushing him. I sometimes think anytime Chris Paul is touched, he is going to embellish that. Then this breaks out. Now guys are flopping
Down
like
goes
Big Baby
Baby.
Davis in the skirmish.
Yeah.
He flopped in the skirmish. And then later on, it continued again. There's just a lot of pushing and shoving. We saw it again with Matt Barnes and Damian Lillard a little bit in the game. But really, it's another perfect example of why a lot of teams do hate the Clips.
Yeah, they're leading the league in technicals, and you just kind of wonder if maybe they're too emotional, because the Blazers seem to be a pretty chill team. They're not really getting in fights with a whole bunch of other teams. But I don't know, it's very strange that the Clippers are always getting in fights. And you have to wonder if Big Baby's going to pick up a fine. He does have a flopping warning earlier this year, but can you get in trouble for flopping during a skirmish? Who knows?
It's a great question.
I mean,
Right?
he's
Does that
trying,
count?
I think he's trying to get LaMarcus Aldridge, you know, for
It
a
should
flagrant
count.
foul. So, yeah, it should count because he's embellishing what he did. I mean,
Yeah.
LaMarcus Aldridge could run as fast as he wanted and hit it Big Baby Davis, and he wouldn't go down. He wouldn't.
He's a brick wall.
Yeah.
He likes to hit the floor. He likes to sell it. He's quite nimble on his feet for a big guy. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll open up the starter's mailbox. Yes, the fax machine is gone. We'll answer a few of your NBA questions. Like, could someone take down and shatter the glass in today's game?
What a question.
Oh look, there's mail. We got mail. Woohoo!
Back with the starters, we have mail because you guys are great at sending them in. Keep them coming. The starters at NBA.com. Any and all NBA questions. All right, first one here, guys, comes from James in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. Lee, do you know him?
I do, yeah. Jimmy, how are you?
James writes, seeing as most MVP candidates are featured on all NBA teams and Defensive Player of the Year candidates are usually featured on all defensive teams, do you think it's only right to show some love to candidates that miss out on awards in other categories? For example, this year's Most Improved Player race is pretty close, and there are lots of deserving candidates, so why not make up an all-MIP team? We could do an all-six-man team too. Thoughts? Again, that's from James. So we thought it over a little bit. If you were to put together maybe an all-most improved team, here's a couple guys that would probably be on most people's list.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dennis Schroeder there with the Hawks. Jimmy Butler is an obvious one as the other guard. And by the way, we tried to go two guards, two forwards, and the center like they do with the all NBA teams. Yeah. Draymond Green, Monty Eunice, and Rudy Gobert. Schroeder, though, Lee, you were adamant that he make this team.
He's been great this year. Last season, Mike Budenholzer didn't have a lot of confidence in him, but this year he has grown so much, and the eye test backs it up, and so do the stats. Look at his output this year. Now, his minutes have increased, but again, that's because Mike Budenholzer feels comfortable throwing him out there. He's up to nearly 10 points a game, shooting the ball better from 2-point and 3-point range, getting more assists, and getting a few rebounds. That sort of just comes with the territory of playing more minutes.
You need to fill out those stats. There, yeah.
But furthermore, in the 9 games that he has started this year, the Atlanta Hawks are 8-1, and he's upped his output to 14 points and 8 assists per game. And some of those wins as well have come against playoff teams. 6 of the 9 have been against playoff teams. He has really shown Mike Budenholzer that Jeff Teague has been an all-star this year, no doubt about it. But sometimes when you have a player who's playing as well as Jeff Teague, when he goes to the bench, the team drops off. But you notice that when Schroeder's out there, he can really keep the team humming. And I think this guy is really, really going to keep growing and become a valuable point guard for a starting team at some point.
You would think so. You would think so. Yeah, the sky's the limit with him. All right, let's do an all-six-man team too. Again, we threw this together sort of in the office. Some potential names: the all-six-man team. Your 2 guards, Lou Williams and Jamal Crawford. Ooh, where is Isaiah Thomas? That's a tough one to leave off. Mirotic is one of the forwards. Josh Smith. I think that might surprise some people with the Rockets. He had an up-and-down year for sure. And Maurice Spates, just the efficiency that he's had as sort of the center position, as a backup big, let's call him there, for the Warriors. Josh Smith. Anyone want to particularly sell the people on Josh Smith? Because some people will be like, why?
Yeah, he might have actually found the right role for him, because we know in Detroit he wasn't really that effective as a starter. Now he's come to Houston coming off the bench. The actual raw numbers, the points and rebounds don't change a whole lot, but the percentages increase a lot. And I think part of that is because he's playing against second units.
Well, he's playing the right position,
That's
too.
fine. That's
He's playing the right
exactly it.
position.
It doesn't matter where you play. If it's where you're playing your best basketball, that's where you have to put him. And I think Houston, because remember when he first came, it was a little bit rocky. Now they seem to have settled down. I think he's giving them important minutes off the bench. So I think he's deserving of that place right now.
And like I said, Isaiah Thomas, a tough name to leave off the list, but will be in the running when we hand out the starties. We do our own end-of-the-year award show. It's Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern here on the network. And of course, Isaiah Thomas will be in the running for that 6-man award. Do you like the idea? Do you like the idea of these teams, or is it just a little too much?
I think if you're a player, you would love this idea because it helps your...
Yeah, it's like a participation ribbon.
No, but it helps...
You come in last in the race we just had.
It helps your case when you're going for contract talks as
yeah,
well.
you're right,
You know,
you're right.
it's important.
All right, so there again, it's the starties. Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Kristen Ledlow hosting that. Always a lot of fun. All right, next question here, guys. Do you think we will ever see a shattered backboard again? I know they must be made stronger and more durable, but with how hard some guys dunk, do you think it's still possible? Maybe even just a broken rim. Which current player do you think has the best chance at breaking one with a dunk? Maybe DeAndre Jordan? Thanks, guys. That question from Kevin.
That's a great question, Kevin, and he's right, because this sort of thing used to happen fairly often. I feel like if you tried to dunk really hard on the side of a rim from the 80s to 90s, this is what would happen. It would just send glass shattering everywhere. But as you can see, a huge safety hazard with a gigantic pane of glass falling all over tall guys' heads, not to mention the falls from the rim just giving out. But yeah, I mean, rim technology is a lot different these days. You never see things getting torn down. Maybe you can get a bent rim if you dunk hard enough, but we'll see.
Yeah, I do remember, I think it was 2012, like preseason, Hawks forward, Ivan Johnson. He was in a practice, I think it was like a practice facility in Indiana. So it was a college backboard and rim. I don't know if they're that much different than the NBA. I guess they are a little bit. This is from the Hawks, by the way, so shout out to them. But he shattered it, again, in practice.
Yeah, it's not necessarily about how big you are. It's just if you get it right in the right spot, especially.
I think they've designed these things though. You can't even do that.
Too much science.
But look,
Shaq-proof.
Who would be in the running? DeAndre Jordan,
DeAndre Jordan for sure.
a strong
DeMarcus
possibility.
Cousins.
Andre Drummond.
Andre Drummond. Serge Ibaka, another one.
Sim Bular, how about that?
Oh, Sim Bular,
maybe,
just on pure
Biggest
weight.
guy ever.
He doesn't need to pull it down though. He can just like literally just drop it in. So he wouldn't put much.
And I would never count out Russell Westbrook.
No way.
Because he's a cyborg. And a machine will probably do this. All right, when we come back, we'll jump into the meme team. Greg Popovich, not amused though. Every Thursday, we scour the internet to bring you the meme team, our favorite weird and wacky moments from the past 7 days in the league. Let's get to it.
Chris Paul had quite the week this week. He starts with a big shot here against the Blazers, a fantastic game for him. Dante Jones wants to celebrate, but by celebrating, he bumps Chris Paul, gives him a little bit of a bloody lip. Dante Jones bumps everybody around the league, including his teammates.
Draymond Green wants another fine?
Chris's reaction. Number 4. It's this fashion trailblazer with the very odd and somewhat creepy Chris Kaman sweater.
Creepy? That's only somewhat?
Totally creepy Chris Kaman
Oh,
sweater.
that beard needs to be longer. She needs to have a tail.
Wow.
I like how she's suddenly embarrassed. Don't look at me.
No, don't look at my giant face shirt.
At number 3, this is tough Canadian kid Kelly Olynyk arriving prior to shoot around, and this is him arriving prior to the game. He collided with teammates Shavlik, Randolph, and that's what happened.
How is he playing?
Oh, he played well, 19
Nice.
points, no big deal. Then the internet did its work, resemblance to Sloth from the Goonies,
Oh my God.
and then mouths started replacing eyes. Yeah,
That's
cool.
At number 2, Tuesday night, Chalmers, end of the half, just gonna chuck it up, hits the buzzer beater from half court, much to the chagrin of Spurs coach Greg Popovich, with the biggest.
The reaction's slightly different behind him from those fans.
Yeah, that's true. Someone should make this an emoji. I would use this emoji all the time.
Disappointed pop would
Yeah.
be a great emoji. 100, 100.
At number 1, Steph Curry dropped Chris Paul on Tuesday with that masterful behind-the-back move on the baseline. Everybody loving it. Everybody should be loving it. 'Cause it was masterful. I wish he just walked in and threw down a dunk. Nah, it didn't happen.
Even the home fans
Yeah.
are going crazy.
Oh yeah.
The sound in the arena.
Yeah, the crowd popped. Yeah, it went nuts.
It was very, very fun to watch. One man who was watching live was Drake. That was his reaction. Yep. Smart reaction. Then the Photoshop started coming. Lance Stevenson blowing him over. First ball on a skateboard. That is amazing work.
Gnarly.
Then he takes to breakdancing.
Oh, yeah.
That's great
cool.
stuff. Then he's playing some Twister. Killing it.
Chris Paul, to be fair, was good about it too.
Oh yeah,
he
absolutely.
liked it.
I thought you were going to say he was good at Twister. We also had a wedgie last evening. It's been a while. Jameer Nelson, 3-point straight wedgie, trying to face up Trey Burke. End of the shot clock. Had to chuck it up. It goes plunk.
Yeah,
Not what a wedgie looked like.
It had been a long time, but we are at 38 total wedgies for the season, and we will be giving away the Wedgie of the Year on the Starties on Monday. Which of the 38 will win it? We've got some good ones.
What a year.
We went nearly 3 weeks without a wedgie. Unreal. All right.
What a drought.
Unleash the Unicorn, today's Fantasy Minute, presented by FanDuel, the leader in one-day fantasy sports. It's a little bit, fantasy lines of the night. There were a million fantasy lines to pick from. The 3 guys in the running, James Harden, DeMarcus Cousins, Chris Paul. James Harden with the second runner-up, 51 points, where he set the career high. 16 of 25 from the floor, 11 of 13 at the line, 8 threes, 8 boards, 6 assists, and 3 steals, too, throwing in some defense. You know I love the defense when it comes to Will Poy. Cooking it up there. DeMarcus Cousins with a crazy line in the same game against the Rockets. 24 points. Now, he didn't shoot as well, 11 to 25 from the floor, only 2 of 6 at the line. But 21 rebounds, 10 assists, so he got the triple-double, 3 steals and 6 blocks.
That's only number 2?
That's number 2.
Wow.
Yes, because we're giving the Woblet to Chris Paul. Felt bad after the meme team. 41 points on 13 of 21 shooting. Perfect at the line, Lee. I know you respect that. 10 and 10. 5 threes, 5 boards, 17 assists, 4 steals, and he only had 1 turnover.
That's a pretty good wall.
That's a pretty good game. But yeah, tons to pick from there. We got to take one more break. When we come back, we're going to set up a new pick 'em payoff. We got a new twist for the next month here. And last night's very solid play. So come on back. You're watching the starters. Welcome back to the starters. Lost a little bit in the madness of our April Fool's Day show on Wednesday was the fact that I won for the 4th consecutive month in the Pick 'em Payoff contest. I'm a dynasty. I'm a dynasty at this point, which means Tass will once again deliver his payoff, and we're going to do it on Friday. It will be Easter themed, so make sure you check out tomorrow's show, Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern on NBA TV. We'll have something for Tass to do. So Tass and I are done because it's a short month here in April. Once again, we're going to put Trey versus Lee in April's Pick 'em Payoff contest. You guys agree on 2 games tonight, the Cavs and the Warriors. Lee has the Mavs. Trey, you've got the Rockets. And we did it last year, so let's just do it again. A pie to the face is on the line.
A very sloppy, wet pie to the face.
God,
Yes.
that was disgusting.
Mrs. Doubtfire is on the line, as we called it, or as Lee called it last year.
Yeah, let's hope for a different result this time.
And you got killed last
Yeah, I
year.
did,
didn't
I
you?
know,
You
I
got
did,
killed by
yeah.
Trey, so let's hope for a better result. Before we get to the very solid play, we do have a sign.
Yes, it comes from John Kuznets out in Boston. He's got a lot of starterisms on there. He's got the wedgie, the fancy unicorn, crossfire, bone zone, pun gun. Good job, guys. That one is not actually at the game, but he did send us a photo of him at the game, so it counts.
Okay.
Good sign.
Excellent. Very solid play.
We are going to Orlando, and it's a boomerang play from Manu. Now, just watch Manu here, because no one from the Orlando Magic is. Look at this beautiful slice inside. Bellinelli finds Manu in the corner. Bang. Yes, I got caught yesterday by the Orlando Magic saying Alfred Payton cut his hair. It was an April Fool's Day prank.
Yeah.
They sucked me in, so they get punishment.
Oh.
Very solid play. That's what I call a
Dare
very
you?
solid
How
play.
dare you, Lee? There it is. Very solid play. Another hopefully very solid show. Back tomorrow, Friday, with the television show. And in the morning, we record the hour-long podcast. It's called The Drop. It'll be up on iTunes and the blog. Check that out.
Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, your normal is far more insulting than you're weird.
Brace the night, people.